Hi and welcome to noisaxophonesupplies.com. My name is Phil Noy. I'm from Melbourne, Australia, and today we'll be watching a video of assembling saxophone pads using the two-part die method. This is a method that I designed myself approximately 8 years ago to make saxophone pads using a laser cutter. Everything you see here is cut on that laser cutter, including the die master, the die inserts, the leather, the felt and the card. We will be selling these as DIY kits, and we're proud to be the first in the world to do this. We'll also be selling pre-made pads made by Chelsea Malloy. In this video, you'll be watching her make saxophone pads using this method. Here we see the master die holder. This is a two-part section. The central pin is steel and located in place and held in place with a rare earth magnet. You'll see Chelsea demonstrate that feature right now. This is for pads that don't have a central hole, and the ones that do, it serves as a locating pin to hold everything in alignment. Here we see a 42mm die insert. The outside of all of the dies is the same to fit into the master die holder. The inside diameter of this is 42mm. However, the outside is the same across the board for all saxophone pads, meaning the master die holder is universal for all saxophone pad sizes. Here we see Chelsea with a 32mm die insert. Here we see Chelsea removing the pin. So now we can put a die insert with no central hole for smaller pads or any pad that you would like no central hole. The larger size of the die master holder fits comfortably in the palm of the hand and is able to be used across all pad sizes. This master die holder holds pad sizes from 6mm up to 60mm. Pads larger than this are available upon request. Here we see the assembly tool. This is not made on the laser cutter. This is brass rod stock with a blue steel saxophone spring inserted into the end, curved and sharpened. You can make this yourself, or we do sell these, and all of the tools and materials you see on screen now are available on our website. Next we see the cardboard. This is used on the back of the pad, and this is 0.6 thick. Those of you that own your own laser cutter, you can vary the thickness of the card backing to give you a different thickness pad and a different feel. This is the one we use and make available on the website. Here we see the woven wool felt. This is a 2.7mm thick woven wool felt, very traditional, and works very well in vintage Selmas and all saxophones across the board. Here we see the kangaroo leather from Queensland, Australia. This is 0.3 to 0.4 thick depending on the hide. We pre-treat our leather before it gets to you, so you don't have to worry about doing any of that. These are waterproof and airtight. We will be doing a video at a later date on various pad treatments for those interested. Now here we see Chelsea applying glue to the back of the felt. We use the same glue for the felt and for wrapping the pads, and that is a PVA by Titebond. Titebond 3 or Titebond 2 is a very good option. You could also use a standard PVA like Elmer's glue. Of course, you can use a contact adhesive if you'd like, but we found the PVA works just fine. If you're taking the DIY path, you don't have to glue this together. You can leave it as two separate pieces. And if you've been following Matt Story's journey on making pads, you'll see that he doesn't laminate and prefers a floppier pad. Our pads provide a firm base to keep the felt nice and flat. Here we see Chelsea assembling the pads over the central locating pin, making sure that the leather is the right way up, and now inserting a pre-laminated felt and card disc. Now we see Chelsea stretching the leather, making sure that it's evenly pulled across the face of the felt. this is an important part of the process, and another reason why we like to use the two-part die, as once she's done here, she will be able to take out the die insert and inspect the face. If you do pull the leather unevenly, you can affect the shoulder of the pad. So this is an important step to get right. Here you can see why we make a two-part die, and that is so you can inspect the face of the pad. This allows us, or you, if you're making your own pads, to inspect the face of the pad, making sure that we haven't stretched it too tight in one edge, ruining the shoulders. And this is a unique feature to our two-part die set, developed by us at Noi Saxophone Supplies. Here we see Chelsea applying glue to the edges of the pad and spinning the die, saving her hands. And this is Titebond 3 PVA glue. You can use Titebond 2, the only difference is the dry time. You can also use any PVA readily available, including Elmer's glue, which I believe many pad manufacturers do use. Titebond 3 I prefer because it is a slightly quicker setting glue. It does, however, dry with a slight coloration, so it doesn't dry clear, so keep your hands nice and clean when you're doing this part of the process. If you do get glue on the back, it's only discoloration. It doesn't affect the pad at all. Obviously you won't see the back of the pad once it's installed, but if you do, you're probably watching the wrong video right now. Here we see Chelsea now starting to wrap the leather and put the pleats in the pad. This really is the part of pad making that comes down to who's making the pad. Chelsea just naturally fell into making pads and she does a beautiful job of it. Others don't seem to be able to do it quite as easily, naturally, but with some practice I'm sure you'll make some beautiful pads. If you have an apprentice in your workshop, you might like to give this task to them, saving you time and allowing you to continue repairing. I do find that making saxophone pads is an incredible skill to learn, and I've gained a lot of insight into how a saxophone works just from making pads and designing pads. You'll see Chelsea here spinning the die insert as she assembles the pad. This feature of the two-part die was an intentional design feature, and this is designed to save your hands. Once you've made hundreds of pads, you'll know what I mean. And this is why the master die is quite large to fit in the palm of your hand. Your hands are your tools, so look after them. As you can see, Chelsea really does take the time to make sure that all of those pleats are evenly distributed around the circumference of the pad. We find this to be very important to keep the tension of the hide perfect. If you do choose to go the DIY route on making saxophone pads, and we do supply everything you need to do this, then you'll see that the glue is now starting to set, so she's speeding up the process. Once that glue does become too hard, it becomes very difficult to assemble the pad evenly and nicely. So that's just a little tip from us to you if you'd like to make your own pads, and we hope that some of you do. If you'd like to not have to buy the laser cutter or make your own pads, then obviously Chelsea will be making these, and they will be available through the website. Here you can see she's using her thumbs to push down the edge of the pad and just go around the pad, squeeze out some excess glue, and just generally checking that everything is looking nice and neat. Now she's able to inspect the face once again and check that there's no issues with the face of the pad there. The shoulders are looking square, and you have the opportunity to correct that if not. This is a feature of the two-part die system. She's now going to put that pad into the pad press. So we use a vintage flower press for this. Or it may be a book press, I'm not too sure, but a book press or a flower press will work just fine. Even 2 pieces of wood with a weight on top will work totally fine. This is some cardboard that we've put baking paper onto so the glue doesn't stick to. And you'll see she's been hard at work making pads. And here you can see if you do take the time to make those pleats nice and even, they become almost non-existent on the back of the pad once they're squeezed, making the pad very flat. One feature to note of kangaroo hide is it does stretch more in one direction than the other. So sometimes you will notice that the leather looks like it's been pulled harder on one side, but this is just due to the leather being able to stretch more in one direction than the other and is quite normal. The tension of the leather across the face of the pad is even, regardless of this look. And there we have a completely assembled pad made by Chelsea Malloy in Melbourne, Australia. These pre-assembled pads will be available via noisaxophonesupplies.com, and we will also be making available the world first DIY saxophone pad kits, where everything you see in this video is available to you. If you don't own your own laser cutter, then this is a good option for you. Thank you for watching. Chelsea's happy. We are noisaxophonesupplies.com. My name's Phil Noy. That was Chelsea Malloy. Thank you for watching, and there will be more videos to come. Thank you and have a great day.